second is positivity. And positivity isn't about being Pollyanna. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. But the definition we have here is managing negative emotions and increasing positive ones. And to kind of work through this, I'm going to give you a little anatomy lesson, if I might, on the brain. Because I find that if we understand what happens naturally because of the way we're made, it's easier to work with it.
A lot of people just got very uncomfortable when you said we're going to give you an anatomy lesson. No, it's okay.
Only about
just
the brain.
It's okay.
Just the brain. So your brain is the most complicated entity on Earth. It has about 128 billion neurons, which is just a cell in your brain, connected to each about 10,000 other ones. So if you can envision an extreme network, that's what we have. What's interesting about it is the brain exists to do two things, and one of them isn't to make you happy. It's to protect and predict. And the prediction part is to protect you. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us alive. Well, that was very helpful maybe when we were out on the plains and there were saber-toothed tigers, chasing us around. The brain hasn't changed much, but our circumstances have. Interesting, but so what? Well, with that bent, the way it's connected, it makes the negative feel much stronger than the positive. It's called a negativity bias. It makes the negative feel really strong. Can you think of a time when something bad happened and then something good happened? There's almost like an emotional response to negative. You think about that? So with that, let me do a little trivia. Does anybody have any idea how long a negative emotion lasts? Shout it out. Negative emotion. 5 minutes? All day? 48 hours? 4 hours? A lifetime. I was waiting for that one, and you got the penny right, so thank you. The answer is, and this might come in handy if you ever have a trivia question, 90 seconds. Physiologically, and negative emotion lasts 90 seconds. Well, you're thinking, fire this lady. That is not my experience. It feels like a lifetime. Well, why is that? Because when I talked about these neurons or brain cells, they form connections with electrical impulses across a little gap called a synapse. When you have a thought, it builds this bridge stronger. The notion is thoughts that fire together, wire together. They create a stronger bridge. So if we don't deal with the negative emotion and we just keep what we call ruminating, thinking about it over and over and over, you're building a concrete bridge there. And every time you think about it, it's going to be like experiencing it all over again. You get those 90-second pops of extreme emotion. Well, that's very interesting, Julie. I'm saying myself. So what do you do about that? If that's the way we're wired, then we have to be intentional about how we show up in a positive way. What are some ways to do that? Well, one is with words. It's interesting if you look at words. In the English language, we have at least 2 to 3 times more words to describe negative emotions than positive. But a little tweak in a word can make a difference. So I want you to think in your mind, and if you want to, you can write it down. Since you have this paper we're going to use multiple times.